That cable. We got to get some more Velcro. Velcro is the answer to everything. Good morning and welcome everybody to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. I go by Blind Run on the internet and Matthew in real life. And today is going to be a rough one. We have the fact sheet released from the White House, whitehouse.gov, covering the first ever comprehensive framework for responsible development of digital assets, aka how are they going to over cryptocurrency, and we are going to get into it. It is very long and it's going to take a while to get through. You know, we're going to handle it at the end of the show, but be prepared for a lot of reading and a lot of pausing, explaining, and inquiry. So that is what we're going to get into today. Of course, in conjunction with this, the CFTC is preparing to be a major regulator in the cryptocurrency markets. We're going to be discussing that. And the U.S. Department of Justice forms prosecutors network for crypto crimes. So yes, we are looking at regulation. We are looking at new entities to prosecute people within cryptocurrency, and we are looking at a ton of regulation. You know, coming off the back of the, of course, Ethereum merge, none of this is looking very good because, as we saw, Mr. Gensler has also said that basically proof of stake is a security. So you take basically the most adopted cryptocurrency chain other than maybe Bitcoin. There's a little argument for Bitcoin, but really as far as like actual utility, I'd argue that Ethereum has more utility and is used more on a day-to-day basis than any other cryptocurrency in existence. You throw that on the proof of stake and you give the control basically to the US government through, of course, entities like Amazon, AWS, Coinbase, and Lido. So you really end up in a position where now there's nothing you can do except say, well, do we just throw our hands up and say, this entire experiment is now failed. All we have done now is given the control over to the government, and the original principle of cryptocurrency being to transact without, of course, the interference of governments or banks is, well, just a lost pipe dream at this point. We are going to be talking about some new PC hardware that does look cool. The 7900 XT flagship Rdna 3 GPU specifications have leaked, and then we also have specifications leaked from Intel for the Arc A77 or 770 series, and we'll get into all of that and more right after a word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking, to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. First things first, of course, we like to cover the new mining software releases, and we do have a new one from BZ Miner here. It is version 1 or 11.1, and they have added ZIL coin. Now, they've added ZIL coin to, of course, accommodate for the new FlexPool ZMP protocol, and you can essentially do some triple mining over there with ZIL plus any of the dual combos through FlexPool ZMP protocol. And of course, you have the dual mining option with that as well. So triple mining or dual mining with ZIL, and you know, your mileage is going to vary. With the triple mining and dual mining stuff, you can end up in a position where you introduce a lot of inconsistency within your hash rates and, of course, all that sort of thing. So be careful. The overclocks can be a little sketchy as well. That being said, of course, too, I do want to point out that FlexPool has participated in sanctions and has made it clear that they will participate in sanctions going against the principles of crypto. So, you know, if you do decide to use FlexPool's ZMP protocol, just keep that in mind at this point. That is where they stand as far as all of this is handled. Now, as far as BZ Miner, they're not associated with that, to be clear. Partial Chinese translation, they do say they also added more language options for EN or CN. obviously for Chinese. They added for the force underscore algo 2 option, and they renamed the column option miner MH to miner underscore HR, and they renamed the column option pool mega hash to pool underscore HR. They fixed duplicate shares on large rigs, simplified the README, and added the README underscore cn.txt for Chinese. And they added basically some improvements for AMD on Caspa. However, they do denote that these are minor changes. So this is all the updates that are coming out for the mining software today. I think we had some bigger ones released yesterday, so check out yesterday's show if you're interested in that. So moving on from there, let's go ahead and talk about the Intel Arc A770 graphics card. And apparently it overclocks to 2.7 gigahertz, which is pretty impressive. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, where are they? Their production is low. Their drivers are apparently pretty much crap. And if you can even get your hands on one, well, good luck getting it mining. You know, we've seen some of the lower end models finally start to be able to mine, but it's not impressive, but to say the least. That being said, of course, you would expect pretty good performance. Why is that? Well, taking a look at the A770 here, you have essentially not only a cool graphics core clock as far as the core clock going up to 2.7 gigahertz, but on the memory side, you have 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 clocked at 17.5 gigabits per second. Now that is across a 256-bit bus, which means that your memory bandwidth is 560 gigabytes per second. So we are talking about basically a faster version memory-wise of an RTX 3070. And that comes in with the power TDP of 225 watts. So you would expect, obviously, with that power connector being cut down as well from a 8 pins on a 3070 to a single 8 pin and a single 6 pin, that you should get good mining performance on memory intensive algorithms. Of course, you know, that's yet to be seen, and there are still driver issues kind of pending at this point. Now, there is the A750 as well. Still pretty enticing too, because, you know, you do get 8 gigabytes of GDDR6 clocked at 16 gigabits per second on a 256-bit bus. Not quite as fast as the A770, but you're still getting 512 gigabytes per second on the total memory bandwidth. Actually, this would be exactly 3070 performance, while the A770 would be slightly above the 3070 performance because it's getting that faster GDDR6. But of course, kind of a moot point because I don't think a lot of people are going to be accumulating new GPUs for mining cryptocurrency right now. Of course, there will be some that capitalize on the liquidation of mining farms with, you know, used GPUs setting up for maybe the next bull run or something along those lines. But I don't see, outside of tech tubers and cryptocurrency mining YouTubers, anybody really picking up any of the new GPUs for mining, because not only are they basically harder to find as far as Intel, and the supply side of things are short, but of course, you have a huge influx of used GPUs coming into the market that are much cheaper. So, you know, if you have the option between an A770 at, you know, $699, $499, whatever they end up coming out at, or you have the option of an RTX 3070 for $300 on the used market, what are you going to go with? You're going to go with the used 3070. That is just going to be, you know, what people do here. And so I wouldn't really expect to see much of these in the wild at all. In general. And as far as their gaming performance, as we know, the drivers are pretty rough too. And unless you're like a kind of a DirectX 12, like I'm only playing the latest titles that are on like Xbox Game Pass, really, you know, it's not a great buy. All of your DX11, you know, games at this point on the A770 or just the Intel series appear to have pretty poor performance. The traditional rasterization's just not at the level of Radeon or NVIDIA at this time, or GeForce. So I don't know. It is what it is. It had that mining potential. I don't think it released quick enough. If they get the price point in low enough, there is some debate there of maybe picking it up, you know, but I think at this point it's not looking good. That being said, we do have Rdna 3 leaks for the RX 7900 XT, and this flagship model is looking pretty intense. We have a triple 8-pin connector, a 24-phase power delivery, and 24 gigabytes of GDDR6. Now, an alleged PCB diagram of what seems to be AMD's flagship 7900 XT graphics card making use of the top Rdna 3 Navi 31 GPU has been leaked by Igor's lab. The graphics card is going to feature a considerable power upgrade over the Rdna 2 based Radeon RX 6900 XT graphics card. Of course, we do have the PCB kind of leak. That's where they're getting kind of all of the memory information here, their voltages and their power phase conversions. This card is said to feature a maximum board power of 450 watts. So if you're hoping that the 7900 XT was going to have better power consumption than the 4090, well, I'm sorry to report it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, right? That being said, of course, you are having traditional 8-pin PCIe connectors as opposed to NVIDIA that is upgrading to PCIe Gen 5. What does that mean? Well, potentially for the 7000 series on AMD, we won't be seeing the same power spikes that we will be seeing on the 40 series, meaning you might not have to upgrade your power supply as long as it's a really beefy power supply to an ATX 3.0 rendition, right? Whereas on the 4090, you're gonna have to upgrade to a PCIe 5 ATX 3.0 supported power supply, because otherwise those power spikes are going to take you way beyond what the power supply is capable of, and then boom, you blow it up and it's not good to go. So there is that advantage potentially for, of course, the 7900 XT, but you're probably still safer at the end of the day going with, you know, an ATX 3.0 because it is a ton of power here. Now, here's the full kind of layout that we got playing with. We got our memory modules here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It looks like that is capable of going up to a total of 24 gigabytes, which is pretty interesting as far as like being able to pack more memory on each individual module. And then as far as the memory bandwidth, let's scroll down and get that information for you guys. Bum, 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 bum. It looks like, well, we don't have full bandwidth, but we do have the memory bus here listed. And on the 6900 XT here, or 7900 XT, excuse me, we are getting an upgrade to a 384-bit bus. Now, if we're getting the newer GDDR6 speeds as well, this could mean that we would have essentially, at the end of the day, potentially a competitor for the RTX 3080, kind of 3090 space for total memory bandwidth. Keeping in mind, of course, that it's supposed to get up to 18 gigabits per second, somewhere around there with the newest GDDR6. While on the NVIDIA side, they're actually cutting down the, or they're keeping the same memory configuration, right? So a 384-bit bus on GDDR6X, which is going to give us, of course, the 1 terabyte second memory bandwidth. So AMD overall is stepping up their memory performance from the previous generation. And they are still also stepping up their Infinity Cache. You can see here their Infinity Cache is going to be somewhere between 96 to 192 megabytes. And then impressively, you know, if you are, you know, not going to be doing a memory intensive algorithm and you are looking at something that's mixed a little bit with Core, your Flux, your Raven coins, or purely Core, something like Caspa, etc., you're looking at a peak clock of 3000 megahertz, which is going to be, you know, simply insane. And that means obviously good performance for your core clocks as far as that goes. So overall, we are seeing, you know, flagship wise on the Radeon side, an improvement from the 6000 series to the 7000 series across the board, from core clocks to memory performance, etc. While on the AMD or NVIDIA side, unfortunately with the 4000 series, we're really not seeing that same boost, and hopefully that changes. But I don't think it is at this point. It looks like the leaks are pretty much confirmed for NVIDIA. So on the NVIDIA side, we're seeing, yes, the core performance increase. We're seeing some L2 cache now being added in, but we're seeing a reduction of total memory bandwidth across the entire line, to the point to where the 4070 is a cut down bus all the way down to 192-bit, as opposed to the 3070, which was a 256-bit, like we were talking about, when we were comparing the A770 and 750 to it. So there you go. Now, unfortunately, Ethereum miners, like maybe all these new GPUs, I don't think they're going to matter much to a lot of Ethereum miners, because Ethereum miners are quickly dying less than 24 hours after the merge. And this is as reported by CoinDesk. Now redundant, Ethereum miners are flocking to other proof of work tokens after the network switched to a proof of stake consensus mechanism and finding slim pickings. Yes, I am Texan, so I leave the G off. Ethereum miners are finding it increasingly hard to make money after the merge, as too many of them are switching to alternative coins, crushing mining profitability. Early Thursday, Ethereum, which is the world's second largest blockchain network, switched its consensus algorithm to proof of stake from proof of work in order to boost efficiency and lower energy consumption. However, the software update, dubbed the merge, also meant that miners were no longer needed to secure the network, and so rig operators moved their machines to other proof-of-work blockchains. Graphics processing units, GPUs, mining is dead, or GPU mining, they're saying, is dead less than 24 hours after the merge. And that was tweeted by Ben Gagnon, chief mining officer at Bitcoin miner Bitfarms. The three largest GPU chains have very low profits, and the only coins showing profit have no market cap or liquidity, he added. And he's not incorrect here. The only actual coin right now as of today showing any profitability on an RTX 3070 in the past 24 hours is going to be Caspa. And as far as liquidity, that's extremely low. And you got like a few options. It's too new of a coin. You got to start seeing some price discovery in some of the top 100 proof of work coins. ETC needs to start seeing some movement. We need to see Ergo start seeing some movement, but we predicted this. What are we expecting? We're expecting this, to last 6 months, somewhere around there. The hash rate, or computing power used to mine proof of work altcoins like Ethereum Classic and Ravencoin, doubled in the hours after the merge took place. Alongside a rising hash rate, however, is rising difficulty, meaning miners are less likely to successfully mine a block and reap the block reward. The reward for mining an Ethereum Classic block reward about 24 hours ago was ETC of 0.018, or about 70 cents. But a check in the past hour found that has tumbled to this number, like basically 0.0003, or about 11 cents, according to data from MinerStat. Similarly, Raven miners could earn 30 Raven, or $1.77 per block 24 hours ago, and in the past hour, that's dropped to just 0.8 Raven, or about 5 cents. As suspected, too many ETH miners switched over to ETC. Ethan Vera, chief operations officer of mining service firm Luxor Technologies, tweeted on Thursday. Even running new generation hardware at sub 3 cents power is not profitable on Ethereum Classic now. That electricity price is much lower than what households in the US pay, and even to what industrial consumers like Bitcoin miners pay in several parts of the country. Vera estimated that 20 to 30% of Ethereum miners have migrated to other networks, with the rest of them simply shutting down. And that is something to point out. Now, we have seen, I will say this, when we talked yesterday, what we were looking at was about 430 terahash still missing from the Ethereum network, right? So we had somewhere around 750 terahash move off the last day, right? And we still had 430 that appeared to just completely shut off. Now, some of that we have seen come online. About 100 terahash of that has come online to ETHW, which is the ETH proof of work fork most recently. So now we're sitting around about 300 terahash, 330 terahash unaccounted for. That's pretty much shut off, not being utilized, at least according to mining pool stats as of most recently. Of course, still, I guess technically 100 terahash was sitting around on Ethereum still, but that's a moot point because it's not really actually making anything. So, as a miner, right, when I'm looking at this, I set up early. I made hopefully like a 300% day, the day of the mining on Caspa by switching over, and shutting half of my farm off means that I did save 50% of my power bill as well on that day. So we did really, really good the day of the merge. That allowed me to continue to solo mine for the next couple days on, of course, Caspa, and we'll be showing you guys those results. It's starting to look bad, right? It's starting to look real bad. We're not doing as well, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at more stuff here. The Ethereum proof of work network sees complaints on day one amid data goof up. So Ethereum W already not looking, ETH W already not looking that good. And there are a lot of issues with users. Users said they weren't able to access the blockchain servers using the public information, and attempts to link it to a crypto wallet failed. Now, of course, this was initial reports. We have the guide up for you guys now. The RPC is up and working, but it's important to note that, you know, they had this big countdown timer, and they had the time to get it all in functioning and working. And they seem to be kind of ham-fisting it and forcing it through when it's not quite all ready, right? And this is just case in point, and it's not great. It's not a great look for, you know, a new kind of fork right now. Ethereum POW, the version of Ethereum blockchain that continues to run on the proof of work consensus mechanism, experienced a dismal first day as it ran into teething problems. Some Twitter users complained they weren't able to access the network using the information provided by Ethereum POW Twitter channel, while some reported problems accessing the network's web servers. The blockchain was established as a fork of the Ethereum network, which switched to a proof of stake consensus mechanism on Thursday in an event known as the merge. And now the proof of stake network continues as Ethereum. Well, the name gets to be Ethereum, but we all know the original Ethereum is still ETC or Ethereum Classic. CoinDesk verified users claims and also wasn't able to access Ethereum POW's web servers. Now, this has all been resolved. So as you guys know, I showed you guys how to connect to it yesterday. You can get it, but at the same time, is it really worth it? If you look at my little list here of ETH POW, you know, we actually did come up 1322. So that half of an ETH W that I sold, you know, yesterday for like $6-7 or whatever, a little over half. Dang, I should have held a little longer. We would have made a little bit more money today, unfortunately. But, you know, it is what it is. It's still down like 50% over the past 24 hours since its launch. It's not looking good, right? And that's kind of just where we're at. And, you know, I'd like to say that, well, you know, Ethereum's not doing that good and everybody's going to move over to ETH proof of work and everything's going to go back to normal and we can just move on. But that's not the case. The miners here, we are definitely in a sketchy position. We're just going to have to deal with it until, you know, this is another 2014, until something comes to light. And it's going to be up to you if you decide to liquidate your rigs, shut off, or just hold for a little bit, or what you're going to do as far as that goes. I'd like to hear what you guys are going to do. We are going to get a poll out right now. And basically, what are you doing? What are you doing? And we're going to say, basically, are you shutting down, still mining, or selling? So I'm curious what you guys are up to as far as all that goes. And we will kind of go from there. Now, I am still noticing that as far as mining goes with ETHW, it's extremely difficult. I'll be showing you guys that here in just a second. But we do have to talk about this because this morning I did post a clip from my Twitch channel, and I highly recommend watching it because I pieced these two things together very, very clearly, okay? What we have going on is essentially a bunch of regulation coming into crypto right after, guess what, the merge. Is that a coincidence? Unfortunately, guys, I don't think this is a coincidence. Sometimes when, you know, Tech Yes City says there's going to be a flash crash on everything but like Ethereum, I kind of tend to maybe think that, well, what are we going to see here? What is going on? What is really going on? You know, there's more to this than meets the eye, clearly. But Ethereum's new staking model could draw SEC attention, and that is according to SEC Chairman Gary Gensler. And that is because the Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler said Thursday that cryptocurrencies and intermediaries that allow holders to stake their coins might pass a key test used by courts to determine whether an asset is a security, known as the Howey test. It examines whether investors expect to earn a return from the work of third parties. Now, what do we got going on here? Let's really dig into this. Ethereum moves to proof of stake, okay? And this seems kind of innocuous to retail. Like, it seems like, oh, well, this is great. We're reducing power consumption. All of this is going great. Cool. And then on the international level, it's crazy that nobody is concerned that basically by doing this, Ethereum just gave the US government control over the blockchain. How did they do this? Well, essentially what has happened now is basically any other cloud service provider that is outside of the US doesn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. 20% of the nodes previously being on a German cloud hosting service called Hetzner now have to move off because Hetzner will not support it because they do not want to basically get in trouble with the German government. So where else does everybody go? Well, they moved to AWS. AWS is controlled by Amazon, which is in turn kind of a US-based company. And over 40% of the nodes already are on AWS. It gets even sketchier when you start to talk about actually who controls these nodes as well, which is primarily Lido and then Coinbase, whereas Coinbase basically at the US. So you got Coinbase basically controlling over 20% of the actual nodes themselves, which are running on AWS, and 40% of the 100% of the node, 40% of all the nodes are running on AWS. What have we seen in the past? Well, the US government is able to definitely work with Amazon to, work with sanctions, shut down applications, influence them to do what they want to do, because at the end of the day, these big data centers and big tech are definitely, profit driven, and they want to stay out of the US regulatory arm as much as possible. So they'll do what they got to do. So now we've all of a sudden gotten into a position where the US government has potential to be able to control the Ethereum blockchain. And so what comes in right after that? Well, boom, we're going to start talking about regulation, right? We're going to start talking about regulation in the US. Merge happens first, then regulation in the US. Put 2 and 2 together, guys. Start waking up. Start seeing what is happening here. This is extremely important. Start sharing out these videos when I talk about this stuff. Open people's eyes to what is happening here, because this is the final fight for financial freedom. And there is pretty much a very low chance that this goes in the favor of the individual, especially when we start to see basically U.S. Department of Justice forming prosecutors network for crypto crimes. Okay. This may seem kind of like unthreatening on the surface, but at the end of the day, what does this really mean? You're inside the law till you're not inside the law. And this is where we go. We heard last week the White House saying that basically they're looking into outlawing cryptocurrency mining. Here on this channel, we cover cryptocurrency mining. If they decide to outlaw it, they now have basically an arm of the DOJ to prosecute us just for running computers and processing transactions on the blockchain. Okay. The United States Department of Justice has formed a network of prosecutors to step up its game for crypto-related crimes. According to officials, the DOJ has recruited over 150 prosecutors from across the country in this effort. The new team is being dubbed as the Digital Asset Coordinators Network. The network's goal is to assign U.S. attorneys' offices with subject matter expertise on the difficult technical and legal challenges presented by crypto cases. The network was inspired in part by the high level of technical know-how that could be applied to the prosecution of cryptocurrency crimes. The formation of the network comes hot in the heels of the Biden administration's announcement of a framework for regulations related to crypto, which we're going to be diving in deep here in just a second in. And then according to Yoon Young Xiao, I think is how to pronounce that, the first director of the Justice Department's National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team, quote, digital asset crimes are truly multidisciplinary. They are cross-border, complex, and challenging investigations, and they require a certain level of competency. Show went on to say that the network aims to train other justice officials on cryptocurrency issues. The officials include those with expertise in the department's tax, criminal, civil, national security, and environmental divisions. Key word here being environmental divisions, okay? Because why? Well, the White House has deemed that possibly basically cryptocurrency mining is a threat to the environment. So what are they going to do? They're going to set up basically a group of people to prosecute, basically cryptocurrency miners. And that is why they have this environmental division here. Do not be fooled. The attack on proof of work mining is specifically to remove the individual sovereignty surrounding finance, because it is a lot easier to control a proof of stake network that is hosted by a company, a corporation that you are in bed with. That is basically what we are seeing here, okay? According to Show, the new network was more than just a marketing initiative added to ongoing initiatives to address the increase in crypto crime. Since Bitcoin and other currencies have grown more alluring to criminals, the Justice Department has increased its efforts in this area. Additionally, Show stated that there would be a resource in every office to ensure that the department is well armed to deal with crypto-related crimes. Some cryptocurrency networks, according to regulators, lawmakers, and law enforcement authorities, give users anonymity, which enables them to support terrorists, launder criminal money, and engage in public corruption. And we had this talk with, Mr. Tech Yes City, who is in a pretty oppressive state over there in Australia. And he was pushing for, the reason why he's not a fan of Bitcoin is because it doesn't provide anonymity. And he does have a point there. I do think that, Bitcoin still serves a purpose, but when we really look at this, it's clear that they want to take anonymity away. And, this fight has been going on long before cryptocurrency. This fight's been going on since the cypherpunks in the early 90s and the overreach of the FBI and the destruction of Stephen Jackson Games in particular, as well as tying essentially email encryption to Al-Qaeda and terrorist groups. This is not unheard of. What do they want to do? They want to make sure that they can control the public. You can't control the public if the public has individual rights and freedoms and the right to privacy, which we used to have in this country, and you should have the right to privacy for your transactions. End of story. Now, how are they going to counteract that? Of course, in the news and in the media and the mainstream crypto media and the mainstream media as a whole, they're going to tell you that, this anonymity is used by criminals. Therefore, slap, you can't have it. And what are they going to do? They're going to replace it with the CBDC, a central bank digital currency. And that way they can track every single transaction you have, tell you whether or not you can purchase something based on your credit score, or even worse, your social credit score, of which, of course, I will be absolutely screwed thanks to this YouTube channel. But, we'll go ahead and see where this goes. It's looking like it's going down the wrong path to me, okay? Furthermore, the Justice Department published a report on Friday outlining potential legislative and regulatory measures that it believed may improve law enforcement's abilities to compile evidence and launch cryptocurrency-related criminal charges. And it doesn't get any better, right? We are seeing more regulation now. We know the US CFTC is preparing to be a major regulator in crypto markets. And even if you're international, I want to make this extremely clear. This is extremely important for you, even if you are international, because what happened with Ethereum is they gave the reins over to the US government. They gave the reins over to US regulatory bodies. So if you think, oh, I'm in a different country, it doesn't affect me, you are wrong. And I'm sorry to tell you, guess what? Not only does the US control the reserve currency, but they control your Ethereum now too. Let's get into it. The U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission is preparing to become a major regulator of the cryptocurrency market, the CFTC head says. According to CoinDesk, Rostin Benham, head of the CFTC, says he has already directed his agency to begin preparations. Quote, the volatility in the market and its impact on retail customers, which may only worsen under current macroeconomic conditions, emphasizes the immediate need for regulatory clarity and market protections. Benham is set to tell members of the Senate Agriculture Committee in a testimony. Benham will give his testimony on Thursday. Committee leaders are pushing for more regulations and rules for the crypto industry. The CFTC will be at the center of them alongside the SEC. Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, has already spoken in testimony. As expected, his testimony was much to the dismay of popular voices in the crypto industry, receiving plenty of criticism. Benham has shared his approval of recent legislation. He says that they will allow the CFTC to move swiftly to establish this oversight of the digital markets. And moving swiftly for something that has so many consequences across the entire globe is absolutely insane. You shouldn't move swiftly, in my humble opinion, with this type of thing. In addition, with additional agency funding, the CFTC will have a stronger ruling over the markets in the future in terms of regulations. For example, this includes regulations for digital assets such as Bitcoin. Most expect that courts will allow the CFTC to take this central position in crypto oversight. Henceforth, they will likely bring more regulations to the industry in the near future. And we do have more reports of this. We have the fact sheet from whitehouse.gov and the first ever comprehensive framework for responsible development of digital assets. I don't know about you guys, but none of this is sounding good, and it definitely destroys kind of my hope that I had, a lot of my hopes that I had surrounding cryptocurrency as it being, you know, an enabler for individual sovereignty and financial freedom. And I'm going to sit here and sip my coffee here before we get into this, because this one, my friends, is a big one. This is probably the most important thing we've reported on all week. I really wish we could have cracked that 1,000 concurrent viewer, but maybe we just need to be streaming at noon. You guys let me know in the comment section below. If you're watching this later, is it hard to make 9:45 for you? I'd be curious. Or are you just done with crypto right now because it is a depressing place to be in? We have to fight, okay? There is light at the end of this tunnel. We just have to be aware of what's happening. The digital assets market has grown significantly in recent years. Millions of people globally, including 16% of adult Americans, have purchased digital assets, which reached a market capitalization of $3 trillion globally last November. Digital assets present potential opportunities to reinforce U.S. leadership in the global financial system and remain at the technological frontier, but they also pose real risks as evidenced by recent events in crypto markets. The May crash of the so-called stablecoin and the subsequent wave of insolvencies wiped out over $600 billion of investor and consumer funds. Yeah, how much did the way you oh my goodness. How much was wiped out from the stock market, and how much of that was directly related to the White House's handling of the COVID pandemic, the lockdowns, and the subsequent supply shortages and interactions with China, etc.? How much of this is your fault and not actually the cryptocurrency industry's fault? That's my question. Right? If you're gonna try to throw that onto all cryptocurrency, come on, let's talk about everything, right? President Biden's March 9th executive order on ensuring responsible development of digital assets outlined the first whole of government approach to addressing the risks and harnessing the potential benefits of digital assets and their underlying technology. Over the past 6 months, agencies across the government have worked together to develop frameworks and policy recommendations that advance the 6 key priorities identified in the EO: consumer and investor protection, promoting financial stability, countering illicit finance, U.S. leadership in global financial system, and economic competitiveness, financial inclusion, and responsible innovation. The 9 reports submitted to the president to date, consistent with the EO's deadline, reflect the input and expertise of diverse stakeholders across the government, industry, academia, and civil society. Together, they articulate a clear framework for responsible digital asset development and pave the way for further action at home and abroad. The reports call on agencies to promote innovation by kickstarting private sector research and development and helping cutting-edge U.S. firms find footholds in global markets. At the same time, they call for measures to mitigate the downside risks, like increased enforcement of existing laws and the creation of common sense I hate that term, common sense efficiency standards for cryptocurrency mining. Anytime they use the term common sense, you can pretty much go ahead and say that it's utilizing zero common sense. As we've seen, with everything else that they've regulated in the past, I do not like the term common sense anytime the U.S. government and the White House decide to utilize it. Recognizing the potential benefits and risks of the U.S. central bank digital currency, the reports encourage the Federal Reserve to continue its ongoing CBDC research, experimentation, and valuation, and call for the creation of a Treasury-led interagency working group to support the Federal Reserve's efforts. Yes, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, we now have a central bank digital currency, pretty much more or less with the U.S. being confirmed. You need to realize that this is a huge step away in the incorrect direction for what Bitcoin was supposed to do, which was remove the interference of banks and governments. Basically, if you have a CBDC, you are going to remove banks, and it's just going to be the government in control. You've now gone from two entities to one entity controlling the entire economy, right? I mean, to be frank, the Fed kind of controls the entire economy to a certain extent, but at least you kind of had this intermediary of banks. If that goes away, you no longer have that, right? And it gets extremely sketchy. Digital assets pose meaningful risks for consumers, investors, and businesses. Prices of those assets can be highly volatile. The current global market capitalization of cryptocurrencies is approximately 1/3 of the November 2021 peak. Still, sellers commonly mislead consumers about digital assets, features, and expected returns, and non-compliance with applicable laws and regulations remain widespread. One study found that almost a quarter of digital coin offerings had disclosure or transparency problems, like plagiarized documents or false promises of guaranteed returns. Outright fraud, scams, and theft in digital asset markets are on the rise, and according to the FBI statistics, reported monetary losses from digital asset scams were nearly 600% higher in 2021 than the year before. Since taking office, the Biden-Harris administration and independent regulators have worked to protect consumers and ensure fair play in digital asset markets by issuing guidance, increasing enforcement resources, and aggressively pursuing fraudulent actors. As outlined in the reports released today, the administration plans to take the following additional steps. Now, I do want to make this extremely clear. Before you tell me that this is not a Biden-Harris decision, I wanted to make it clear that they have claimed this as all their work, okay? So as we get into this, they have claimed this. Biden-Harris administration has claimed all of this. You cannot tell me that they did not claim this, and if you disagree with it, you should not vote for them, and that is all I want to say, okay? If you agree with them, then by all means go ahead and vote for them. But don't tell me it's not their decision. Don't tell me that this is not something they support, because it is clear that they have decided to claim this, okay? So let's not play this stupid game in the chat and then on Twitter and all this of like, every side's bad and this is blah, blah, blah. Look, if we're talking about cryptocurrency and the policy surrounding it, it's clear what is happening here, okay? I just don't want to hear it anymore. The reports encourage regulators like the Securities and Exchange Commission and Commodity Futures Trading Commission, consistent with their mandates, to aggressively pursue investigations and enforcement actions against unlawful practices in the digital asset space. So you'll have two governing bodies at this point, the SEC and the CFTC. Now, my understanding here is that the SEC specifically will be for proof of stake coins, so securities. So we're talking about Ethereum, Solana, and the likes. And your CFTC will be governing proof of work coins, Bitcoin, Ergo, Dogecoin, Litecoin, and the likes, right? So these are the two governing bodies and what they will govern. Best that I can tell as far as everything's been laid out to this point, okay? The reports encourage Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, and Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. The FTC won't let me be or let me be me, so let me see. Tried to shut me down on the YTV, but it feels so empty without me. To redouble their efforts to monitor consumer complaints and to enforce against unfair, deceptive, or abusive practices. The reports encourage agencies to issue guidance and rules to address current and emergent risks in the digital asset ecosystem. Regulatory and law enforcement agencies are also urged to collaborate to address acute digital asset risks facing consumers, investors, and businesses. In addition, agencies are encouraged to share data on consumer complaints regarding digital assets, ensuring each agency activities are maximally effective. The Financial Literacy Education Commission, the FLEC, will lead public awareness efforts to help consumers understand the risks involved with digital assets and identify common fraudulent practices and learn how to report misconduct. Of course, this could be influenced to essentially end up being propaganda, but we'll have to see what they decide to do with it. Today, traditional finance leaves too many behind. Roughly 7 million Americans have no bank account. Another 24 million rely on costly non-bank services like check cashing and money orders for everyday needs. And for those who do use banks, paying with traditional financial infrastructure can be costly and slow, particularly for cross-border payments. The digital economy should work for all Americans. That means developing financial services that are secure, reliable, affordable, and accessible to all. To make payments more efficient, the Federal Reserve has planned a 2023 launch of the FedNow. We talked about FedNow not too long ago. This is where we start to get one step closer to a CBDC. One step closer to the edge, and I'm about to break. It's popped into my head. Everything you say to me. Oh, an instantaneous 24/7 interbank clearing system that will further the advance of nationwide infrastructure for instant payments alongside the clearinghouse real-time payment system. A CBDC is so close, it is absolutely terrifying, guys. We are so close to basically going in the completely opposite direction of what cryptocurrency was supposed to do. And I don't know how to fight it other than to actually continue to do this show and ask you guys to share this with everybody so they are aware of what's happening. We are talking about a complete control of all of your finances by the federal government. Okay? If that's not terrifying to you, I don't know what to say. I mean, I guess cool. But some digital assets could help facilitate faster payments and make financial services more accessible, but more work is needed to ensure they truly benefit underserved consumers and do not lead to predatory financial practices. To promote safe and affordable financial services for all, the administration plans to take the following steps. Agencies will encourage the adoption of instant payment systems like FedNow. This is where that propaganda company comes into play. So you're going to have basically the Financial Literacy Education Commission pushing the propaganda for the FedNow. This is pretty much what you can say. So they're going to be paying these guys a ton of money from the government to push FedNow. This is pretty much exactly how this is going to play out, right? By supporting the development and use of innovative technologies by payment providers to increase access to instant payments and using instant payment systems for their own transactions where appropriate. For example, in the context of distribution of disaster, emergency, or other government to consumer payments. We already kind of knew they had access to our government or our bank accounts when they decided to put in the Emergency Act and the lockdowns and started just dealing out money to people into their bank accounts. What did this do too? Like if we talk about like lockdowns and everybody working from home, that sort of thing, and the shutdown of small businesses, what ended up happening was we just bolstered like companies like Amazon, and now Amazon controls Ethereum. Like, this is wild. Like, all the connections are absolutely insane. You start putting it 2 and 2 together, and you feel like a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist with a big old pin wall of like, okay, Ethereum going to Amazon, lockdowns going to Amazon, all of the money from the lockdowns going to Amazon, because effectively the government basically just gave everybody money to basically spend at Amazon. It's wild, bro. And so they're just going to make it even easier for them to basically distribute based on however they feel is appropriate, emergency and government funds and all of that, in the case that we have some sort of lockdowns again. The president will consider agency recommendations to create a federal framework to regulate non-bank payment providers. Agencies will prioritize efforts to improve the efficiency of cross-border payments by working to align global payment practices, regulations, and supervision protocols while exploring new multilateral platforms that integrate instant payment systems. Yeah, they're going to look at Ethereum is what they're going to look at. The National Science Foundation, the NSF, will back research in technical and socio-technical disciplines and behavioral economies to ensure that digital asset ecosystems are designed to be usable, inclusive, equitable, and accessible by all. I mean, on the surface, that sounds great, right? But we read between the lines here. Digital assets and the mainstream financial system are becoming increasingly intertwined, creating channels for turmoil to have spillover effects. Stablecoins in particular could create disruptive runs if not paired with appropriate regulation. And this is where we get into the crux of the issues, because if we look at Argentina, for example, most recently, stablecoins were utilized by the lower class and poor, the lower and middle class, to participate in protecting their financial position without access to, an international bank. And that is because in Argentina, to have access to an international bank where you could put your money into a U.S. reserve currency, you had to be rich. And what does stablecoins do? They allow the poor to participate in the same asset protection that the rich have. So you can't have that going on. Clearly, the UN, like we talked about previously, has already said that we can't allow these third world countries to have access to stablecoins because no, if you're a poor country, no, you can't protect your assets in the same way that the rich people can, okay? That's not allowed. So we got to regulate the stable coins. We can't allow the poor people to protect their assets like the rich people can't have it. None of it. Let's regulate it. Get it out of here. Shut the stable coins down. Don't allow poor people to participate in the things that we are allowed to participate in, because then they'll see that we've just been playing a game and screwing them over from the very beginning. The potential for instability was illustrated in May 2022 by the crash of the so-called stablecoin Terra USD. Of course they're going to use Terra USD. Of course they're going to use it to scare you. And the subsequent wave of insolvencies that erased nearly $600 billion in wealth. In October, the Financial Stability Oversight Council will publish a report discussing digital assets, financial stability risks, identifying related regulatory gaps, and making additional recommendations to foster financial stability. The Biden-Harris administration has long recognized the need for regulation to address digital asset stability risks. For example, in 2021, the president's working group on financial markets recommended steps for Congress and regulators to make stablecoins safer. Building on this work, the administration plans to take additional following steps. The Treasury will work with financial institutions to bolster their capacity to identify and mitigate cyber vulnerabilities by sharing information and promoting a wide range of data sets and analytical tools. Basically, government overreach to the furthest extent within digital assets is what's coming here. The Treasury will work with other agencies to identify, track, and analyze emerging strategic risks that relate to digital asset markets. It will also collaborate on identifying such risks with U.S. allies, including through international organizations like the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and the Financial Stability Board, the FSB. Advancing responsible innovation. U.S. companies led the world in innovation. Digital asset firms are no exception. As of 2022, the United States is home to roughly half of the world's 100 most valuable financial technology companies, many of which trade in digital asset services. The U.S. government has long played a critical role in priming responsible private sector innovation. It sponsors cutting-edge research, helps firms compete globally, and assists them with compliance and works with them to mitigate harmful side effects of technological advancement. In keeping with this tradition, the administration plans to take the following steps to foster responsible digital asset innovation. The Office of Science and Technology Policy, OSTP, and NSF will develop a digital assets research and development agenda to kickstart fundamental research on topics such as next-generation cryptography, transaction programmability, Ethereum, cybersecurity and privacy protections, and ways to mitigate the environmental impacts of digital assets. This is where we get into the fact that it is really looking like, from a proof of work standpoint, if the cryptocurrency mining market wasn't depressing enough, well, you may also just be not legally allowed to mine cryptocurrency here in the near future. It will also continue to support research that translates technological breakthroughs into market-ready products. Additionally, NSF will back social sciences and education research that develops methods of informing, educating, and training diverse groups of stakeholders on safe and responsible digital asset use. The Treasury and financial regulators are encouraged to, as appropriate, provide innovative U.S. firms developing new financial technologies with regulatory guidance, best practices, sharing, and technical assistance through things like Tech Spirits and Innovation Hours. The Department of Energy Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, and other agencies will consider further tracking digital assets' environmental impacts, developing performance standards as appropriate, and providing local authorities with tools, resources, and expertise to mitigate environmental harms. Powering crypto assets can take a large amount of electricity, which can emit greenhouse gases, strain electricity grids, and harm some local communities with noise and water pollution. Opportunities exist to align and develop the development of digital assets with transitioning to a net zero emissions economy and improving environmental justice. Because why? Because if you get everybody to move to proof of stake and you have them on your AWS services that you have your little dirty hands into, you control the currency. That is why this is happening. Now, we could say, sure, there is environmental impacts, but that's a very easy counter because there are incentives. Incentives are what drive innovation. What is the incentive for a cryptocurrency miner? An incentive for a cryptocurrency miner is to reduce their power cost. What reduces power cost? Well, renewable energy reduces power cost. The reduction of basically energy waste reduces power cost for cryptocurrency miners. So we know for a fact that cryptocurrency miners are directly incentivized to reduce energy consumption and move energy consumption in the direction of renewables because the incentives are in place there. Therefore, we can reasonably assert that the entire lie that, it is impactful on the environment more than the private jets that the people that wrote this are flying around in is absolute BS. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This entire play is to put cryptocurrency in a position that is controlled by the U.S. government. The Department of Commerce will examine establishing a standing forum to convene federal agencies, industry, academics, and civil society to exchange knowledge and ideas that could inform federal regulations, standards, coordinating activities, technical assistance, and research support. Today, global standard setting bodies are establishing policies, guidance, and regulatory recommendations for digital assets. The United States is working actively with its partners to set out these policies in line with our goals and values, while also reinforcing the United States' role in the global financial system. Similarly, the United States has a very valuable opportunity to partner with countries still developing their digital assets ecosystem, helping ensure that countries' financial, legal, and technological infrastructures respect core values, including data privacy, financial stability, and human rights. What they really mean by this is that they want to be able to regulate those who have access to US dollar-backed stablecoins, right? This is what we've seen as a push from the UN. The US wants to basically, as opposed to doing what they did in Afghanistan and Iraq, which is we're going to go, enforce freedom by killing you. They're going to enforce freedom by removing your financial stability. Frankly, right? That is what this is at the end of the day. And, I have, growing up, considered myself a patriot, but I have to say that when I see stuff like this, I'll call it out for what it is, okay? To reinforce U.S. financial leadership and uphold U.S. values in global digital asset markets, the administration will take the following steps outlined in the framework for international engagement released by the Treasury Department earlier this summer. U.S. agencies will leverage U.S. positions in international organizations to message U.S. values related to digital assets. U.S. agencies will also continue and expand their leadership roles on digital assets work at international organizations and standard-setting bodies, such as the G7, the G20, the OECD, the FSB, the Financial Action Task Force, and the International Organization for Standardization. Agencies will promote standards, regulations, and frameworks that reflect values like data privacy, free and efficient markets, financial stability, consumer protection, robust law enforcement, and environmental sustainability. Always with the environmental sustainability, because how do you remove freedom from cryptocurrency? You remove proof of work. The State Department, the Department of Justice, DOJ, and other U.S. enforcement agencies will increase collaboration with and assistance to partner agencies in foreign countries through global enforcement bodies like the Edgemont Group, bilateral information sharing, and capacity building. I'm not familiar with the Edgemont Group. Maybe you guys can let me know. The State Department, Treasury, USAID, and other agencies will explore further technical assistance to developing countries building out digital asset infrastructure and services. As appropriate, this assistance may include technical assistance on legal and regulatory frameworks, evidence gathering and knowledge sharing on the impacts, risks, and opportunities of digital assets. The Department of Commerce will help cutting-edge U.S. financial technology and digital asset firms find a foothold in global markets for their products. It's not enough. Once again, I want to say this very clearly to my international audience. You need to pay attention to what the U.S. is doing here, okay? This is not an effect of just U.S. citizens. This is an effect on the international community as a whole, right? And if you think the U.S. government doesn't have significant sway when it comes to currency, you're kidding yourself. The global economy is run right now by the U.S. dollar. The United States has been a leader in applying its anti-money laundering and counterfeiting the financing of terrorism framework in the digital asset ecosystem. It has published relevant guidance, engaged in regular public-private dialogue, used its enforcement tools, and led in setting international AML and CFT standards. While our efforts have strengthened the U.S. financial system, digital assets, some of which are pseudonymous, there we go, and can be transferred without a financial intermediary. have been exploited by bad actors to launder illicit proceeds. What do they want to stop you from doing? They want to stop you from transferring digital assets without a financial intermediary, which is the pure original purpose of cryptocurrency, okay? They want to strip out the original purpose of cryptocurrency. They are telling us that right now. The Biden-Harris administration is specifically stating that they want to strip out the principles of cryptocurrency from cryptocurrency. I want to make that extremely clear here. They are saying it. It's a bold face, like straight up in your, it's bold and straight up in your face is what I want to say, okay? For example, digital assets have facilitated the rise of ransomware, cyber criminals, narcotic sales, and money laundering for drug trafficking organizations, and funding of activities of rogue regimes, as was the case in the recent thefts of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea affiliated Lazarus Group. It is in the national interest to mitigate these risks through regulation, oversight, law enforcement action, and the use of our United States government authorities to fight the illicit use of digital assets more effectively. The administration plans to take the following steps. The president will evaluate whether to call upon Congress to amend the Bank Secrecy Act, anti-tip-off statutes, and laws against unlicensed money transmitting to apply explicitly to digital asset service providers, including digital asset exchange and non-fungible token platforms. He will also consider urging Congress to raise the penalties for unlicensed money transmitting to match the penalties for similar crimes under other money laundering statutes, and to amend relevant federal statutes to let the Department of Justice prosecute digital asset crimes in any jurisdiction where a victim of those crimes is found. Wow. So what do you have here? And this is really where we get into it, right? What we've seen is Texas and Florida proposing essentially state laws, changing to the state amendment in Texas, right? State constitution in Texas to basically prevent the overreach of government, not allowing its citizens to hold cryptocurrency. Now, the federal government is coming out and saying, you know, we're going to take this over essentially, and we're going to make sure that our federal arm can reach into everything. This is not dissimilar to basically the drug war, right? This is not dissimilar to what the federal government and its agencies were doing to weed farms in California, okay? And so if you are, you know, if I get it, right? Like I'm of the position of, you know, I think that like that was wrong, right? I also think this is wrong, right? I'm more of libertarian as far as that goes. Logically consistent, I suppose. But I understand a lot of you may be logically inconsistent. You may be pro-drug, but, you know, anti-financial freedom. And I get that. Maybe that is you. But you need to start looking at those principles again and start thinking about it, because this is what's happening. This is the exact same thing they do every single time, right? And the states are going to try to protect you. Some of them. Hopefully you're in a state that tries to protect you from this. The United States will continue to monitor the development of digital asset sector and its associated illicit financing risks to identify any gaps in our legal, regulatory, and supervisory regimes. As part of this effort, Treasury will complete an illicit finance risk assessment on decentralized finance by the end of February 2023. So we're going to get more information, obviously, probably on DeFi in February, and then we'll get more information on NFTs in July. Relevant departments and agencies will continue to expose and disrupt illicit actors and address the abuse of digital assets. Such actions will hold cyber criminals and other malign actors responsible for their illicit activity and identify nodes in the ecosystem that pose national security risks. Well, you know, how do you identify and shut down nodes? I guess you have all the nodes run on a system like AWS that you have access to controlling. Wow, they They literally here has stated that they will identify nodes in the ecosystem that pose national security risk. Guys, you also got to stop supporting pools and services that support sanctions. I'm sorry, but you have to stop supporting FlexPool. You have to stop supporting Ethermine. These are things that have to be done now. Treasury will enhance dialogue with the private sector to ensure that firms understanding existing obligations and illicit financing risks associated with digital assets share information and encourage the use of emerging technologies to comply with obligations. This will be supported by a request for comment published to the Federal Register for input on several items related to AML and CFT. Informing the above recommendations, the Treasury, DOJ, FBI, DHS, and NSF drafted risk assessments to provide the administration with a comprehensive view of digital assets' illicit finance risks. The CFPB, an independent agency, also voluntarily provided information to the administration as to risks arising from digital assets. The risks that agencies highlight include, but are not limited to, money laundering, terrorist financing, hacks that result in loss of funds, and fragilities, common practices, and fast-changing technology that may present vulnerabilities for misuse. A US CBDC. Are you guys ready to get into the central bank digital currency for the US dollar? Here it comes. You can't participate in any other digital assets, okay? I just want to make that clear. They're too dangerous for you. They're too dangerous for you. The government's smart. They will tell you what to do with your money. And, you know, it's going to be okay. Just listen to them. You know, they've been correct through the entire pandemic. Very trustworthy. Very, very trustworthy. The bestest of peoples. The smartest of peoples. So just trust them, okay? A US CBDC, a digital form of the US dollar, has the potential to offer significant benefits. It could enable a payment system that is more efficient, provides a foundation for further technological innovation, facilitates faster cross-border transactions, and is environmentally sustainable. Of course. It could promote financial inclusion and equity by enabling access for a broad set of consumers. In addition, it could foster economic growth and stability, protect against cyber and operational risks, safeguard the privacy of sensitive data, and minimize risks of illicit financial transactions. A potential US CBDC could also help preserve US global financial leadership and support the effectiveness of sanctions. Because, of course, what is this really about? They're telling you. Yes, they're hiding it in all these other words. They want to say it helps with financial inclusion because they'll send the poor people some bailouts here and there when they inevitably lock them down and shut down their businesses, right? They'll send you some bailouts here and there. They'll financially include you, you know, to a certain extent. You'll be able to eat. You'll own nothing, but you'll be happy. You'll be able to eat. We'll control it all. But what are they really telling you here, right? Read between the, you don't even have to read between the lines here because they tell you specifically why they want to do this. They want to promote the effectiveness of sanctions. And sanctions at the end of the day only hurt the individual. I don't care what anybody says. I'm against it, right? You do not sanction a people and punish the individual because you have a quarrel with the government. But a CBDC could also have unintended consequences, including runs to CBDC in times of stress. What do they mean by that? Well, I mean, the runs on the banks, right? They don't want people to basically come in and start pulling out all their CBDC. So I guess we'll see how they're going to mitigate that. Recognizing the possibility of a US CBDC, the administration has developed policy objectives for a US CBDC system, which reflect the federal government's priorities for a potential US CBDC. These objectives flesh out the goals outlined for a CBDC in the EOA US CBDC system. If implemented, should protect consumers, promote economic growth, improve payment systems, provide interoperability with other platforms like, Ethereum, advance financial inclusion, protect national security, respect human rights, and align with democratic values. But further research and development on the technology that would support a US CBDC is needed. The administration encourages the Federal Reserve to continue its ongoing CBDC research, experimentation, and evaluation. To support the Federal Reserve efforts and to advance other work on a potential US CBDC, the Treasury will lead an interagency working group to consider the potential implications of a US CBDC, leverage cross-government technical expertise, and share information with partners. The leadership of the Federal Reserve, the National Economic Council, and the National Security Council, the Office of Science and Technology Policy, and the Treasury Department will meet regularly to discuss the working group's progress and share updates on the CBD. Oh, yes, it's not actually a CBDC. It's just CBD extract, boys. Don't worry about it. The WhiteHouse.gov has finally admitted that a CBDC is a bad idea at the end of this statement. It is actually CBD. We've been all confused. It's fine. Legalize weed and we're good to go. At least they had a typo that we had fun with at the end of that. That's all she wrote, boys. Please share this particular stream out. I wish we had the 1,500 concurrent viewers that we had yesterday. I wish this was more widespread. I wish people were more aware and more awake to what is happening right now. Remember, if you look at this, sure, you can say I got a tinfoil hat on and I'm throwing up a whiteboard and I'm making the connections between centralizing Ethereum, putting the control of Ethereum under the US government, and then coming out and regulating proof of work currencies, and then creating a CBDC that will tie in with Ethereum. Sure, I could be that crazy guy, conspiracy theorist or whatever, but I don't know. At the end of the day, they're pretty clearly telling me exactly what they're going to do, and I'm not for it. I'm just not for it. Let's go ahead and get into mining profitability and what is left of it right after a word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking, to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So first things first, I did, just to test it out and make sure everything is working, I did move over my V1 Mini to ETHW. And yes, you can connect it. It works, all that sort of stuff. We have a 2% personal luck, and we have not found the block. We have 300 mega hash just solo mining it. I'm probably going to turn it off. But we got to do a review of basically one of the most worthless ASIC miners ever created here for you guys here shortly. So we'll definitely be doing that. Very low confidence in ETHW at this point. The price is pretty low, and we'll kind of go over that more in just a second. But I am going to have to take a bio break. I'm sorry, boys. It's been a long stream, and I drank too much water. So there you go. And coffee. back. So thanks for your patience, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We did make it back. We're okay. The other thing that we're mining is Caspa still. We got about half of the farm shut down and half of the farm solo mining Caspa. Unfortunately, or actually, holy shit. Well, the price of Caspa has definitely gone up, so I can't tell you how much we've made because we're up $537 from yesterday. So, you know, I guess technically we made $537 yesterday. Kind of, if we include the increase of price of Caspa. So let me go look at our currencies and refresh coin market cap here. Yeah, Caspa's up 8% right now. Yeah, so I mean, cool. I got to figure out a way how to calculate this out better. I got to do my own API for you guys at some point, but we made $537 between the amount that we mined and then the increase in price as well. So, you know, I don't know. It is what it is. We could start going through like the amount of blocks we found and then kind of going from there, I suppose. So we could go from what, 6 o'clock yesterday to 6 o'clock on the 15th. So each page is 10. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 2. So 21, 2, 3. 23 blocks. I'll get you guys the actual number. I can do this. I need to create my own little API and pull all this data. So we found 23 blocks in the past 24 hours at $1.48 a block. We made $34.04. Not much, right? I mean, obviously, like, we had a nice price pump and we hold a lot of Caspa, so it looks really nice. But in reality, what we've mined is $34, which actually, with half of the farm on, is not bad. Because remember, we were mining about $90 worth of Ethereum a day. So we have half the farm shut off and we're mining a third of our profitability. So $34, we could technically, you know, I don't think the rest of my farm is good enough to actually spin up. I have a 6900 XT that needs to get refreshed and go back online. And I have a couple 6600s and stuff like that we need to get online. But everything else is going to stay shut off. But that's pretty good. You know, considering. Is it going to pay the bills? No. The farm is, this is pretty much where we're at. I think right now is I'm looking at what can I do with 1,500 square foot industrial space to make $1,600 a month. That's kind of what I'm looking at trying to figure out right now. Think about doing bubble parties. I got a trailer. I was going to do like bubble machine parties, something like that. I don't know. Seems cool. Anyways, let's get this poll done here real quick because we are talking about mining. I asked, what are you doing? Are you shutting down? Are you still mining? Or are you selling? 47% of you are shutting down, implying shutting down and not selling any of your equipment. 46% of you are actually still mining, quite a bit higher than I expected, especially with 600 viewers right now. And actually 1,100 votes. So there you go. And 5% of you are selling. So there you go. About 50 of you are selling, I guess is what that means. 470 of you are shutting down and 460 of you are still mining. The bouncing house rentals seem to be a little bit too popular. A lot of people do that. You can buy these like bubble machines and like, I don't know. There's not a lot of people that do them. They do them in like Austin and San Antonio, but I think there's a couple other markets I could hit. Yeah. We'll bob and weave. Maybe we just start growing stuff. We mine and grow. You know? All right, let's go ahead and look at what to mine. I actually have a 3070 pulled up here at 15 cents a kilowatt hour because I want to be a little bit more realistic about what's actually happening here, right? And it seems to get all of the hash rates correct, which makes this a little bit easier to go through. It's not good. You know, it's not good. Nothing's profitable. I'm sorry to tell you, the only thing profitable is Caspa. And on a 3070, it makes 3 cents a day after power at 15 cents a kilowatt hour. No bueno, boys. No bueno. Ergo is, you know, losing 28 cents a day. Ethereum Classic's losing 33 cents a day. Flux is losing 27 cents a day. Raven Coin's losing 40 cents a day. Neox is losing 35 cents a day. You know, we could go down to, you know, start going down to like 10 cents a kilowatt hour. Maybe things look a little bit better. Caspa looks a little bit better, but nothing else becomes positive yet. I mean, what do we really got to get down to? Is it 6 cents a kilowatt hour, which is my rate or used to be my rate? Oops, I did that wrong. 6 cents, not 60 cents. If it was 60 cents, you're definitely effed. 6 cents a kilowatt hour. Bitcoin Z becomes profitable. Flux becomes profitable. 6 cents a kilowatt hour. A few things become profitable, but it's still pretty rough. Vertcoin becomes profitable, that sort of thing. Cutoff seems to be 10 cents a kilowatt hour. So there you go. Still getting a block an hour on Caspa. That's pretty good. Let's look at mining pools. Let's check Bitcoin. Maybe get some positivity out of that. Not really. 244 exahash a second, down 6% and up in difficulty. So yay. We got Ethereum Classic at 224 exahash a second, down 12%. Not great. Ethereum proof of work, this is where we saw it's actually down to 67 terahash a second, meaning that we are actually still missing 360 terahash a second from ETH that never moved over to anything. It's down 57% over the past 7 days. Let's get into the real fun ones, though. We'll start with Flux. I believe Flux is down 13% over the past 7 days. It's at 6.55 mega solutions a second. Raven Coin is up 13% over the past 7 days. Looking good. The proof of work coin kind of picking up there. 22 terahash a second, which is essentially kind of the equivalent of like 44 terahash a second on Ethereum. Approximately. You about double the hash rate. So not a lot of hash rate moved over from Ethereum, you know, to Ravencoin really. Take a look at Ergo. Down 10% over the past 7 days. Not looking good. 159 terahash, 160 terahash. You kind of double that, so really about 80 terahash. Well, and then you got the solo over here. So really about 90 terahash moved over. 90 terahash moved, 100 terahash. Let's just make it even. 100 terahash about moved over from Ethereum to Ergo. So clearly the majority of the hash rate moved over to ETC. Second place is kind of Ergo. Third place is Flux, it looks like, and then fourth is Ravencoin. Beam had a pump of 10% over the past 7 days. It did come back down, obviously, but it's at 1.5 mega solutions a second. So there is Beam to look at there. I know Vertcoin also went up. It's up 13% over the past 24 hours and 6.33 gigahash a second. Mining pool profitability for the past 90 days on ETC. We have Crazy Pool in first, Nano Pool in second, Hivon Pool in third. Last 60 days, a Crazy Pool in first, Ethermine in second, 2 miners in third. Last 30 days, Crazy Pool in first, ZET in second, Ethermine in third. Last 21 days, Crazy Pool in first, ZET in second, Ethermine in third. Last 14 days, Crazy Pool in first, Nano Pool in second, Ethermine in third. Last 7 days, Crazy Pool in first, Nano Pool in second, Ethermine in third. Last 3 days, Crazy Pool in first, Ethermine in second, 2 miners in third. For the last day, we have Crazy Pool in first, Nano Pool in second, and Hivon Pool in third. Pretty nice, of course, to see Crazy Pool kind of doing good again, finally, in something. But I think they really only do have Ethereum Classic, so keep that in mind. And as we see, Ethereum Classic's not really killing it right now. Now, I do have a list of cryptocurrencies that are just essentially proof of work cryptocurrencies that I've been keeping track of. The only one over the past 24 hours that is up is Caspa. Now, to be fair, of course, the only two that are up over the past 7 days still is Beam and Ravencoin. Okay. Past 1 hour, Flux is up a little bit. It's kind of staying right above $1. It's trying to struggle to stay there, but that's kind of where it's at. As far as the biggest losers over the past 24 hours, ETH Proof of Work, ETHW, Neoxa in second place, and Ravencoin in third place over the past 24 hours. ASIC mining profitability is kind of the only place where you're really profitable at all. Antminer L7s are really what we're looking at. $20 a day on script. It does look like ETHW is calculated in now on MinerStat, and it is more profitable than mining ETH Classic with your Ethereum ASICs. So keep that in mind. As we see with the iPolo V1, ETHW here. So it does look like you do want to spend that on, you do want to point those over to ETHW if you want to earn something, I guess. That's up to you, of course. Now, I'm not seeing the Rdna miners here. Where did they go? There's the KD5. Where's the KD6? Is it 654? You know, that wouldn't look so bad, you know, other than, I guess, if you paid $60,000 for it less than a year ago. And then the S19 Pro is abysmal, guys. We're pretty much dropping under $2 a day on an Antminer S19 Pro. You're really only saving grace at this point, like we talked about with you know, Coastal Crypto on the Merge Watch Party, is your Antminer L7. So if you got, you know, if you got power, you're trying to figure out what to do. The script miners are kind of the ones sitting around, but you know, they're going to go way up. I wouldn't sell my GPUs and buy ASICs personally, but that's not financial advice. Especially selling GPUs right now, you're going to take a big hit. So I definitely wouldn't feel like doing that, right? Let's go ahead and get in questions and answers for the day. Remember, super chats, never required, always appreciated. First to be answered because they're the easiest to read. I am working on figuring out a chat application that will keep all the super chats in one area for you guys. Thanks for getting us to 400 likes, and thanks for getting us to over, you know, 600 concurrent viewers. That is a poll that I'm going to be running. Basically, what time is best for you? Is it the 10 a.m. CST or is it 12 p.m. CST? Because yesterday it's clear that we had a better turnout for the 12 p.m. CST. At the same time, you know, a lot of this hype is starting to die down, so it's not unexpected to be in the position that we're in. If you want to go help us out over on sonofatech.locals, it's free to become a member, and I almost am at my goal. We only need 8 people. I just need 8 of you to go over to sonofatech.locals and become a member for free, and we meet our 800 member goal. It's a great way to keep up to get to what I am doing, whether that is on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Substack. They post everything there. We have a great community. It's basically, think of it as a Twitter just for the Son of a Tech community. It's absolutely amazing. And then if you want to participate more over there and comment and view the special like community only posts, of course, you can become a supporter, and that goes directly to me to help keep me alive through the bear market and continue to make content for you. It is clear that we are obviously going to probably be making some content shifts. What kind of content shifts do we make here? We're going to continue to do the crypto mining show, but what do we got to lean on here? We definitely got to lean on talking about what is going on politically within cryptocurrency, because it is becoming an issue. It is becoming something that cannot be ignored, and unfortunately, nobody else in the industry appears to have the balls to talk about it, or very few people. So, at least in the mining space, I guess I'll take that torch. And I realize that some of you may not like that direction, but I feel like it's got to be done. So, that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. You know, it is what it is, okay? So, let's go ahead and get into questions and answers. Footlicker says, maybe it's time for OnlyFans. Well, you know, OnlyFans is sonofatech.locals.com, so there you go. We even did an ice bath with no shirt one time. Patrick says, ask Simon Tech, yo, morning, sir. I never know when the show will start. Notifications totally work. Definitely make sure that you are signed up as a member over on sonofatech.locals.com, because you get the notification when I go live over there. It is 9:45 a.m. Central Time, 10:45 a.m. Eastern, but because I had strep throat, pneumonia, and E. coli the past 2 weeks, you know what? Times were just off, right? Plus, then we did the merge, and so because I was up till 4 in the morning doing the merge, we did a late show yesterday. Now, I am asking about potentially shifting or changing the time because according to YouTube analytics, we definitely get more viewers at noon. But, you know, that could be, of course, just because things are starting to go back to normal as we hit the unfortunate reality of basically cryptocurrency being in a rough spot. Max Barbell says, ask Tech, indoor winter storage with your building. I make a good return on it. Boats and RVs. We can fit boats and RVs in there. That is true. Maybe I can find some friends that want to rent it to store a boat and an RV in there. I was thinking about putting jiu-jitsu mats in there, but I don't want to compete with my jiu-jitsu gym. Patrick says, ask Tech, I just calculated out my rewards. I'm making 254 per gigahash on Ergo and 234 on ETC, so slightly more than double on Ergo. Nice, okay. Good. Glad to hear. Lataro says, ask Tech made annual member yesterday. Hell yeah, brother. Welcome to the Suns. Thank you, good sir. We have another question from a whole bunch of squares. Says, ask Tech, is that your Bitcoin address on locals at the bottom? Yes, I believe that is correct. CS script, or C script, there we go, says, ask Tech, with regulations, you always seem to attribute to malice that which is explained by stupidity. You have a conspiratorial mindset as if there's a group trying to control people. Why? Because they have told us that they want to control us. They literally said it. I'm just reading what they say. Maybe you interpret it different. Lucas says, Ask Simon Tech, the next 2 years will suck for GPUs and ASIC miners. I'm thinking 6 months to a year, Lucas. The Kielbasa says, Ask Simon Tech, can you explain why Ergo block times go down when more hash rate was added to the network? Well, the more hash rate means that you're processing more blocks. More miners are getting paid out. So there is more transactions going on there. I don't know specifically for the pipeline on Ergo. And I could honestly do some more research on that. John English says, Ask Simon Tech, you're on fire, bro. Keep on jamming. Thank you, good sir. Ben says, Ask Simon Tech, Cologne, where tech never dies. Like Cologne, Germany. Tomek says, Ask Simon Tech, is there an easy way to know which algos are more coin intensive and which are memory intensive just by testing it out and looking at, if you run a card, you can usually see, what's getting hit harder by the temperature. If your core temperature is going up more than its core, it's using the core. If your memory temperature is going up more, then your memory is going up more. Wasted Trash Panda, thank you for the $5 super chat, says, I'm not stopping. We have to stand against the authoritarian liars. It's our duty as patriots, regardless of the consequences. Thank you, good sir. Leonardo says, Ask Simon Tech, winter is coming. Prog Pal to heat the home. There you go. Andrea says, Ask Simon Tech, the block difficulty increases every 1,024 blocks on Ergo. So we had 2 difficulty adjustments on Ergo yesterday. Nicholas Kane says, just sub to the site. Also, if you sell the bike or truck, would you offer a crypto payment method as well as fiat? I probably wouldn't sell it to anybody on the channel. Just sell it outright. But probably, yeah. I mean, like if somebody said, would you take Bitcoin? I'd probably be like, yeah, sure, I guess. Other than maybe, I guess I'd be worried about tax and ramifications. Max Barbell says, Ask Simon Tech, the good news is my farm is 20 degrees cooler today. Like you, I have a lot of 5700s. Flux seems to be a bust and Ergo is not bad. What are your plans for yours? Keeping them off? More than likely they will go in the winter to a Prog Pal or Kapal, right? Prog Pal, I count Raven coin as a Prog Pal coin at this point. So, what is that? Raven, Firo, Raven Classic, some coin like that. They seem to be the most efficient at, right? Your 5700s do basically what the 3070s do at lower power consumption. You get about 27 mega hash a second if your memory timings are modified at about 190 to 110 watts, depending on the memory that is in there. So efficiency wise, if I look at it completely objectively, if I have the temperature to handle it, which hopefully after cleaning everything up and running them in these awesome octo miners, excuse me, I'm choking, then, hopefully I can maintain through the winter of running them on some Prog Pal. So there you go. Rdna says, Ask Simon Tech, what's up, brother? How you been? I've been good. How are you doing today? Luke says, Ask Simon Tech, I love the crypto mining content, but politics will kill your channel. It doesn't seem to be doing that, Luke, so I'll see you next Tuesday, my man. Forever Metalhead says, Ask Simon Tech, I offer services to get paid in crypto. You could do the same with your expertise to keep the coins coming. Not a bad idea. Alex Fletcher, thanks for the $10 euro. Super Chat says, managed to hit live stream 3 times now. Prefer the later time. The survey should have included paused mining. Oh, they're pounds, not euros. Keep up the good show. Oh, yeah, pounds. My bad. Always good info. You corrected me as I said it wrong, so thank you for the correction in the Super Chat. I guess pounds are better than euros. I'll take pounds over euros any day. Long live Brexit. Let's see. Raymond says, Ask Simon Tech, how long do you think it will take before we get price discovery again? 6 months to a year is what I'm kind of feeling, Raymond. Trom says, Ask Simon Tech, personally, I've enjoyed your special guest style live streams. Nice. Rook says, ask Son of a Tech, do we consider Ergo worth holding? Is it robust? I think Ergo is very robust. Nathaniel says, ask Son of a Tech, what are you mining? Poll, what are you mining? I don't know about running a poll of what I mine. This is interesting. 45% of you, even though you're here right now, still said to do noon. I'm going to look at the analytics and then I'm talking to my wife about maybe changing the schedule. We may change the schedule up. I don't really know yet. Let me see what Twitter says and maybe another post somewhere else. Matt says, Ask Simon Tech, thanks for the helpful mining information. Thanks for watching and supporting the channel. Andrea says, Ask Simon Tech, maybe now is the time to mine some new proof of work projects. I just can't find any. You know, if you find them, let me know. We'll definitely talk about them over on sonofatech.locals if I do find any. Conflicted says, Ask Simon Tech, are you keeping track of the RE mining polls? Would be cool to see how sentiment changes pre and post merge. You know, I'm surprised, like we said today, it was pretty much 50-50 split. Nobody's selling their GPUs, but it does look like, you know, 50% are shutting off and 50% are continuing to mine. Now, I did see, of course, it looks like Red Panda Mining shut off a majority of his rigs today as well. Mining and Trading says, Ask Simon Tech, already signed up on the locals channel. Thank you, good sir. Let me go ahead and check this. Did we hit our goal? Not quite. 792 out of 800 members. 99% of the way there. Integra guy, hey, good to see you again, man. Says, Ask Simon Tech for Caspa node can do on Windows too, correct? It seems like you can. Also, is yours on a VPN hosted on your own network? Mine is on my own network, correct? And only open to internal connections for mining. Mining and Trading says, Ask Simon Tech, those are executive orders which can be changed within elections. Most of it is a bunch of talk. Yeah, but we have to talk about who is making those ideas, right? That is Harrison Biden. It's very clear that you would not want to vote in the people that are working on those, right? Orchard says, at Simon Tech, why not start with your lead story? New specs on GPUs are interesting, but that's not why I click on your video. Specifically for that reason. That's strategery, good sir. Earl Larson says, Ask Son of a Tech, what, have you read the book 1984? Of course I have. A long time ago, of course. Right now, everybody is, obviously, it's the we are living in 1984. You know, I'm aware of all that. Brave New World, etc. Mining Potatoes says, at Son of a Tech, what coins are you mining on the 2080 Ti? My entire farm that is currently running, including two 2080 Ti's, is mining Caspa right now. James PT says, at Son of a Tech, AMD is better than BMB, which is better than Exhibitron. I don't know why you tagged me, and everything's going to get read out loud if you tag me. And I don't know what you mean by AMD is better than BMB, but that's fine. Get and Go says, Ask Simon Tech, split the differences like a 11 a.m. CST. I'll do another poll over on the community tab later here on YouTube. Stream when it's good for you. It's your life and your time. That being said, you know, my life is definitely dependent on the YouTube channel. So, you know, we're lucky enough to be able to do this. I just hope that we continue to do it, right? Village BC says, Ask Simon Tech, do viewer tests, swap between 10 and 12 for 2 weeks, then swap the days from 10 to 12 for another 2 weeks. That's not a bad idea. Forever Metalhead says, Ask Simon Tech, did you look into Kaka? Yeah, Kaka is just another fork of, like, Ravencoin, which is it's basically a fork of Neoxa, which is a fork of Ravencoin, and it's just, I'm so done with Ravencoin forks. Rent Free says, Ask Simon Tech, is that your Bitcoin wallet address on locals? Which one are you guys talking about? I believe it is, but I don't know where it is. I know I updated it, but I don't know where you guys are seeing it necessarily. I know in the settings I set the Bitcoin address, so yes, that should be my Bitcoin address, but I don't know where you guys are seeing it necessarily. Let's see. Key Point says, Ask Simon Tech, I would sell if needed, but I'm keeping them for the winter months for heat generation to help with electricity costs. There you go. Jay Miner says, Ask Simon Tech, any chance we could get some Caspa folks on as special guests? Block DAG is sweet. I'm supposed to have the developer on, but it hasn't been scheduled up yet. I'll reach back out to Wolfie and see when he's going to get me that interview. XDX says, Ask Tech, European Central Bank just selected Amazon for developing its digital e-payment system. Speaking of centralization and sovereignty. Nice. That sounds about right to me. Amazon's probably going to run this game out, right? Gandalf says, Ask Tech, when do you think we will see used camps hit them, or used GPUs, you mean, hit the market? I don't know. That's really hard to tell, right? I mean, I'd start looking at like things like AliExpress first, probably. Like if I pull that up and just do like, I don't know, RTX 3060s or something, RTX 3060. Start looking for bulk stuff or whatever. I think some of the 5700s got real cheap, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm probably just going to start looking at AliExpress until it starts becoming clear when these things are going to go on sale. I'm not seeing anything right now, right? It's I assume within the next 6 months is when we see a lot of this sell-off go. But I think prices are probably still too high right now, right? Maybe there's like an argument for Facebook Marketplace. You got to start browsing. It's like Tech Yes City said. I mean, he said, you know, there's not a specific time. You can't predict it. Like if there's a good deal now, there's a good deal now. You know what I mean? It's just the question is like, who is like at the point to where they have to get rid of their cards, right? And unfortunately, like that's part of what's going to happen is you're going to kind of take advantage of the people that, you know, maybe bought GPUs at the top of the market and are in a bad position. And I hate to say that that's what you're doing, but I mean, that's essentially what you got to do, right? I mean, you got to take advantage of the people that weren't ready and that bought at the top. And Paula says, Ask Tech, thanks for the distraction today. Yes, sir. Hope you have a better day, my man. Elm says, Ask Tech will be able to find Caspa block with 83060 Ti's. Solo? Yeah. Especially with Ghost Tag, it makes it a lot easier. Mining and Trading kept his HNT antenna up, and he's glad he did. John English says, respect that. We'll be here. Awesome. JJ Doc says, Ask Tech, where are you with guests? Maybe once a week? Yeah, maybe once a week. I'll start probably on Monday, deciding on the day. Maybe we do guests on Thursday or Friday. I don't really know. It's hard to pick out, right? Mining Potato says, Ask Tech, I'd love to see some videos on how to overclock properly. I've been trying random overclocks. I hate trying random things. You always step up incrementally. I've done live videos on how to do it. It's meticulous, it's frustrating, and it's time consuming. And you just have to go ahead and suck it up and start doing it, you know. You bump up 10 megahertz, bump up 10 megahertz, bump up 10 megahertz, bump up 10 megahertz. It fails, drop down 20 megahertz. You know, that's where you're at. It takes a long time. If you're trying to min-max it, you know, if you want a less min-max, maybe you are going up 25 megahertz, 25 megahertz, 25 megahertz. 25 megahertz crashes, drop 50 megahertz. Right? That's just basically the concept. You got to put the work in. Shio Kaltz says, Ask Tech, I'm local 792. Longtime fan. Thank you, good sir. WX2 says, Ask Tech, which mining client are you using for CAS? I'm using BZ Miner for NVIDIA. Childress says, Ask Tech, have you thought about hosting? I ended up getting a static IP block and hosting a bunch of Flux nodes. Demand here in California is high, and I can use low power equipment. I do need to build out a few more hosts. I am working on that. And, hosting some Flux nodes is not something I'm necessarily fully against. What I've been messing with more is staking right now. I got some Rdna staked. I have Ergo Pad staked. I have a Padilla staked. I have some liquidity pools on Ergo. I will be dumping as much as I can into Ergo. In fact, I think I got another $700 here that I'm about to dump into the Ergo ecosystem. I'm planning on staking another 12,500 Ergo pad this weekend or today if I can. I got to transfer that ETH that I used to test ETHW out to KuCoin and swap for some Erg. So that's some stuff that I'm working on. Yeah. I think the Ergo pad staking's done pretty well for me. We're, 12,742. I mean, we're still pretty early on as far as all this goes, but I think it's done some good for me. And then that's kind of where it's at, right? Oh, lots of people are asking way too much for their rigs so far. About to see where they're at. Rent Free says, at Summit, do you lock your cores for Caspa? No, because you want to take advantage of the core boost because it's a core only algorithm. Blackwell's Crypto says, at Summit would like to see more content on each project, whiteboard, the positives and negatives of each top 10 GPU coins, maybe pools as well. I mean, we do talk about it every day, but, I guess I could set up and just write out, the things we talk about every day and do a one per video. I don't mind doing that. If that's something you think would do good, I don't mind. I could probably knock that out in a week or so. Alex Fletcher says, at Simon Tech, hoping to pick up a few bargain GPUs over the next few months. I'm going to be looking. I'm looking too. I actually just looked up on Facebook Marketplace and, to be frank, these guys are, they're delusional. So, you have to give it a little time. Raymond says, that's Simon Tech. How long do you think Caspa will stay profitable? Should I make a node and solo mine instead of running or turning off the farm? It's not profitable. Well, man. So what did we say we did? We did $34 yesterday on half the farm. I would say if you have I would run, I think it's worth running if you're over 4 megahash per watt efficiency on a GPU for Caspa, it's probably worth running. So, that's kind of what I'm thinking. At Simon Tech, how many machines or gigahash on Caspa? We have about 30 gigahash a second on Caspa right now. David says, at Simon Tech, sorry if it was asked, joining late, what dollar per megahash do you expect to pay in the near future? Well, dollar per megahash is useless because what do you dollar per, what do we base that on, right? $0 per megahash because megahash is worth $0. I'm looking for people to have reasonably priced rigs that are just getting out, right? 3070s for cheap. You know, but these guys are trying to sell like 8 3060 Ti's for $8,000. Like, fuck off, bro. Ursus says, $5 super chat says, Facebook marketplace near me is swamped in used rigs, asking way too much than they're worth. Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing too. Like $1,000 per 3060 Ti? Suck a nut, bro. No way. There's no way. There's no way. Sorry, bro. You're effed. Nobody's going to buy that from you. Stop it. Don't even try. Adam Sanders says, Ask Simon Tech, any thoughts on the HNT conference happening next week? Helium House NYC is having a guest speaker named Nessie Osler, a director at something Telecom, T-Mobile's parent company. I don't know. Centralized piece of junk. I don't like HNT. Martin says, Ask Simon Tech, are my 3090s useless now? 3090s are one of the best on Caspa, so no. Kurosaki's Corner says, Ask Simon Tech, do you have any A2000s? I do. Just go watch my video to get all of those numbers. We did all of them. The A2000 is on here. There's a full spreadsheet with overclocks and everything for you. That's Tech Serpent X is checking out Cas now. Everybody will check it out and we'll be screwed. It is what it is. At least we got in there for a little while. MK Ultra says, that's Simon Tech. I will donate the remainder of my Hive OS balance if you post your farm name. No thanks. Rent Free says, Ask Simon Tech, between the 1660 Super, 3060, 3070, 3080, and 3090. What would your price points be? No idea right now. Cheap as fuck. Rdna says, that son of a tech, I do believe NWO is the, or now. I was like, NWO, New World Order is the time to buy. When the New World Order is in control, it will be the time to buy GPUs. I do believe now is the time to buy up 2060s and 3060s best GPU for the bull and bear market. I don't know. I'd probably go with like 2080 Ti's and 3070s. Black Wolves Crypto, thanks for the $5 super sticker. Keeping it real. Mining Base says, Ask Simon Tech, which coin will be the best for the 3070 Ti? I mean, Caspa's the best for everything right now. Alpha Mine says, Ask Simon Tech, sup man, so you still got anything running or are you powered down? Yeah, I have 30 gigahash a second on Caspa right now. And we did $34 yesterday, so we covered all that. So it is getting to the point. Yeah, we have had a very long show, a 2-hour long show today. So we are going to shut it down over here. But don't fret. Don't fret, my friends. We're going to go ahead and go live on Twitch. Why are we doing this? Well, I am very close, very, very close. I have a new goal set in mind, and that is to become a Twitch partner. I'm going to ask you guys for your help today, and we're going to try to do this to become a Twitch partner. I need 75 concurrent viewers for 24 hours on Twitch. And so I'm going to ask you guys to come over to Twitch with me. I'm going to take about a 15-20 minute break. I'm going to go get some more drinks, some stuff like that. And then we'll be live on twitch.tv/blindrun and be doing the path to partner. If we could stay over 75 concurrent viewers for an hour or so, I would appreciate it. This is a goal of mine that I've had for over 12 years. I've never been able to do it. Twitch is the most difficult platform I've ever experienced in my life. So any help that you guys could give me over there, if you could even just go open the tab and leave it open for me, make sure if you need to mute it, that you mute it in the tab and help me hit that, because that would be absolutely insane. So I'll be live over there. Don't fret. I'd like to go live in 10 minutes over there, but that's frankly not going to happen. So maybe around 12:15 or something like that in about 20-25 minutes, something like that. So we'll be over there. Thanks everybody for the support over here on this channel. We really killed it today. Not as much as yesterday, but you know, we're still doing good compared to where the market is. I hope that you guys share this out and you get the word out about what's going on with CBDCs and centralization of cryptocurrency, because I think it's really, really important. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next Tuesday.